Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resource, hashtag how I got custody. You know, it's kind of crazy that people want to talk about, I don't understand my gender. People want to talk about doing all kinds of stuff except getting a consult with me. People on YouTube will say, it'd be great if you could do maybe it's Facebook. This guy said, it would be great if you could do some classes or online courses. But if you get a one-on-one consult with me, which would be about the same as a course, if you called me and talked directly with me about the details of your case, you would get answers for the details of your case. I don't understand how my gender can't figure this out. I got countless testimonies of people winning after consulting with me. There's a guy who commented on my page where I talk about the answers that I have. You said, yeah, it's so hard to represent yourself. You either got to go get an attorney with balls who's willing to fight, which that's 1 out of 10,000 for a guy. And then he said, or else you got to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours as a pro se figuring this out. Totally oblivious to the fact that I help people out with one-on-one consultations. He's on my page where I'm talking about a bunch of information and shortcuts and the things that will benefit getting a consult with me. And it doesn't occur to him that they can get a consult with me and save hundreds and hundreds of hours of research. This blows my mind. Why would you get a consult with me? I mean, if you got a doctor who has a breakthrough of cancer treatment, you got cancer and you talk to the doctor, go on his YouTube page like, well, do you know some remedies out there or some doctors out there could help me? And you're talking to the guy who supposedly has the remedy. I don't understand my gender. But again, I'm talking about a frustration I have with this. But then again, I know I'm really only out here for the 1%. And I've said that before. It just frustrates me that there's so many people who do stuff like that. Like, I get it. Guys look at my stuff. They're scared. They're intimidated. They have to go with an attorney. They don't believe what I'm saying. Even though I got winning court orders. They don't even look at my flow page with all the free resources, which that just shows me how apathetic and lazy and shiftless my gender is. Here's some answers here. You're desperate. You got nothing to lose. Why don't you spend some time looking at the free stuff that I have in my flow page and realize, look, your attorney's not even telling you this stuff. Why don't you at least look at it? Like most people who reach out to me for an appointment, even though I talk about my flow page, I have a link in it everywhere. I say, check it out. I have videos on my flow page explaining what's in there. I don't understand it because when I was totally lost, and I'm going back to 2001 again, when the internet was barely accessible to the average person, we pretty much still had dial-up. And I'm telling you, it's 100 times easier and faster and more efficient to find case law. The court forums are everywhere in every state. The court forums are Washington was kind of a state that had really good court forms from the beginning, and they have a lot of detailed court forms now. They make it confusing in accessing the court and filing and court rules and filings and stuff like that. But just trying to see if there's a cop behind me. But I literally had to go to the law library and look up books to find the law or find case law and do some other kinds of research. I had to go down to the courthouse to file stuff. I had to go to Kinko's to make 4 copies of everything for me, the mother, the court, the court clerk where the file was. And then I had to give the judge a working copy. So sometimes, I had 40 exhibits. I literally had, paperwork an inch thick or more And I had to make copies of all that stuff. It cost me $100 just to file a motion. Now you guys can turn everything into a PDF and e-file it. It's so easy. My point is, I was totally lost, a warehouse worker who flunked out of college. If you are out there and you're saying, well, James did it, he knows so much about the law, and he knows this and knows that. In 2001, I didn't know squat. You know what I knew? I knew that I loved my daughter to death, and that I was going to scratch and claw and look for answers. I swear, my 7-month custody case would have turned into 2 or 3 months if I knew what I was doing and I had a James Christensen back then. And I was scratching and clawing and looking through books and getting consults with Dennis Gack of the National Brotherhood of Fathers' Rights, Bob Carls of Dads Against Discrimination, and both of them had been out of court and out of touch with court for 10 years and didn't really know what was going on. You know, thank God for Bob Carls, because he gave me inspiration to do stuff, but he barely told me anything. I literally knew 1% of what you guys know now. I mean, if you're watching all my videos, I knew 1% of what I'm giving you guys for free in my free videos. Now, my Instagram was deleted, so there's a lot less on there, but still, the stuff on my YouTube channel, I never knew that stuff until, I mean, this is stuff I've compiled over years, and you guys got access to it up front, and I'm saving you all the hit and miss stuff, because let's say you call me up and you want to change your court order, but I find out you lost by default and you never had a chance to go to the original one, and you want to go to court and petition to modify based on a substantial change of circumstances, when actually you should be doing a motion to vacate the default. And so I've seen how sometimes guys want to go to court and motion to vacate a default, and the family law facilitator will tell them, hey, that's the wrong way to go. You need to do a petition to modify. And the facilitators are giving them legal advice, and they're giving them bad legal advice, so they're committing a crime and putting them down a road where they might fail, because a modification can get thrown out in states like Washington where you have to prove a substantial change of circumstance. But if you go back a motion to vacate a default, and you know a default is like a forfeit. Like if your bus breaks down and you're a baseball team, you didn't lose the ball game. You had to forfeit because you were a no-show. A default is like a forfeit because of a no-show. And these facilitators are telling people, oh, you can't do a motion to vacate a default. You have to do a modification, giving them bad legal advice. Anyway, my point is, you might be totally working on the entirely wrong thing, and you're sitting there watching my video say, how do I do a modification? Or what does James have for a hint for a modification? What does he have? Looking through all my free videos, instead of spending a few bucks to talk to me, and I'll say, what are you doing that way? Why aren't you doing a motion to vacate to totally undo it from the beginning? You got every other weekend or supervised visitation. You want to modify it and work your way up a little. Why don't you vacate the whole thing and start from scratch? But see, some of you are so stupid or lazy or shiftless, you don't even think about getting a consult with, oh, that's $90 for an hour or $30 for 20 minutes. Now, I got a whole bunch. I may have to change that up, because I created the $30 for 20 minutes because my rates went up and people call me for a quickie question. They want to rip me off and hustle me. Oh, I got a 5-minute question, or I only got one question. And their question leads to my answer, and they say, well, what does that mean? Well, what does that mean? And nobody ever has a 5-minute question. We're talking about how to conduct a court case that lasts a year. How would you go to a college and have a course for a semester or a year or a quarter and say, just give me 20 minutes and brief me on the whole material? You're a dumbass if you think that. Now, for people who do have quickie questions that I've worked with, that's what that's for. But now I got everybody want to just do a 20-minute session with me, and they're starting from scratch, and they have no, and then they want to ask another. I'm like, we're at 20 minutes is up. Let me just ask another quick question. Let me ask another one. Next thing you know, we're 25, 27, 30 minutes into it, and I'm getting hustled for all kinds of time. Anyway, why don't you get a consultation with me? Instead of looking for what's the free stuff I can get here, there, and there, and you're waiting months and you're getting screwed, and you could have got an answer from me for a while ago for a few bucks. Come on, let's use some common sense.